Hello everyone and welcome back to your piano lesson. If you are here for the first time, I am Gianluca Fronda, your virtual piano teacher. If you want to discover interesting facts about me, you can watch the introduction video of this channel. I'm leaving the link in the description of this video, where you will find also the link for my artistic channel, Gianluca Fronda, pianist and composer, if you're interested in original music and covers. Talking about this channel, don't forget to subscribe and let me know about yourself by commenting. Tell me when you have started, if you're finding my channel interesting and you're improving your skills also thanks to my videos. And don't forget also to share with your friends if there is anybody interested in piano music, anybody that you know. So now time to go to our lesson. Welcome to the 16th music theory lesson. I invite you to check in the description of this video where there is the playlist. In case you have missed some of the lessons, you will find the link where you get the playlist with all the theory lessons that have been already published until today. Today I want to talk about things that anyways have been kind of already discussed, just two of them but not the third. So I will talk about the dot, the tie, and the third element that will be discussed is the slur, just to show you also the different power of two identical signs, but you will understand when I will dive into the explanation. So dot, tie and slurs today. So let's start from the difference that there is in between the dot and the tie, and let's see if they can be used in substitution one of the other one, or if they have specific uses. Dot and tie. Let's start from a very basic case in 4/4. So, for example, we said that if I want to, today I want to start from F, I don't know why, I can, for example, let's start talking about the dot. I said that if I add the dot straight after a minim, an half note, I get 2 plus 1, because the power of the dot is the one of adding half of the value of the note. The dot always had half of the value of the length of the note. And then I write a G, okay? And this way we have 3 plus 1 is 4. I can draw the bar line. But these 3 counts note can be also expressed in this way, using the tie. I use 2 counts note, I add the tie, I add again one F, when this line is in between the same identical notes as the power of being a tie, and in this case can be used in substitution of the dot, because it's simply sticking together 2 notes, identical notes, and the value is, you have to sum the value of the first to the value of the second. It's like having a plus in between. 2 plus 1 is 3. And in this case, indeed, they have the same identical power, the same identical meaning. So it would be the same if we are in a 3/4 and we use the same note. Obviously you would draw the bar line exactly here, skipping the G, the last note, and you could use either this or this one. It's definitely the same, identical. But pay attention, if I want to do exactly the same thing in a 2/4 bar, and I want to write a 3 counts note, look, I write F. Now, since this is a 2 counts F, since my goal is the one of reaching 2 counts in every single bar, I must draw the bar line. And if I want to write indeed an F that is 3 counts, I have to use the tie, and I can't use at all the dot. It's definitely impossible. Indeed, I use exactly the same identical pattern. So F, 3 counts and G. That here was fitting in 1 bar. Here has to fit in 2 different bars, and I can't use at all the dot in this case, because the dot would exceed, and in music you have to definitely respect the quantity that is required by the top number, by the numerator of the time signature, in order to draw the bar line. So this is a case where you can't use the dot, and it's possible only the tie. In a 4/4, in this case you can use, but obviously in a 2/4 you can use anyways the dot. And how can you use the dot? Respecting the time signature, I do F1 count and a half, because indeed, according to the principle that the dot adds half of the value of the note, this is 1. 1 plus half of 1, and we know that in music is possible half of 1, is expressed using the quaver, the 8th note. I do 1.5, and I add a G, for example, that is a simple quaver. So in this case it's possible. This is a crotchet, yeah, is a quarter note. Dotted crotchet, dotted quarter note. In this case, yes. In this, no. Let's maybe now treat a completely different case. One of the compound time signatures. Let's use, for example, 3/8, the first and most basic compound time signature, the one derived from 1/4. So if I won't use exactly the same identical notes, I will use these ones. Now pay attention. If I want to write, I want to complete a bar using a crotchet in a 3/8, how many counts is it covering? It's definitely covering 2 counts, because each count has to be worth 1/8, 1 quaver. So this is now 2 counts. If I add a dot, I am completing the whole bar, because it's worth 3/8. 2/8 hidden in the crotchet. This one is covering the 3/8, and I can draw the bar line. These can be expressed in this case also using the tie. Et voila! And this is another way of writing the same identical thing. Indeed, in this case, it's definitely possible. To be honest, it was possible also here. Indeed, let me go back 1 second to the 2/4. This 2/4 could be also, this bar in 2/4 could be also expressed in this way. It's important that the value stays, so you can write in this way, splitting the two quavers, 1 crotchet, 1/4 note, 1/8 note, 1 quaver tied to the previous, and these are the same identical thing. These and these, same identical thing. Or you can now split, instead of splitting these two notes, you could even write in this way. F tied and G. This is a simple graphical difference. Sometimes this is preferred in the instrumental music. This one is preferred in the vocal music. Music sung by singers. Okay? So we are trying to analyze now the cases. And here we are. This is what happened in a 3/8. You could write in this way or in this way. Now pay attention. If I want to write a like a minim in a 3/8, I say like a minim in terms of how many quavers, how many eighth notes that are hidden in a minim, in an half note. Obviously there are 4. I can have this length, let's say the value of this note in a 3/8, but it has to be expressed in this way. This is something much more maybe interesting for composers. Et voila! Let's try to analyze. 3/8, 1 count and a half in the binary, in the simple times. In a 3/8, this one is to be considered like 3 counts. So 3 quavers hidden plus 1. The value is exactly the same of the length of the note, is exactly like the one of a minim, but obviously you can't write a minim in a 3/8 because it would exceed, and obviously you have to complete with something else. For example, we write a G that is now 2 counts in this time signature. Yeah, the crotchet in a 3/8 would be 2 counts. Obviously, this is just an introduction to explain the difference between the dot and the tie, when you can use one instead of the other one, and when you can't use at all one of them. Like, for example, like we noticed in the 2/4, you cannot use the dot because it would exceed. Let's talk about the 6/8 now. In a 6/8, for example, if you obviously want to cover 2 counts, You can write the notes in this way, and this is the most commonly used way. You could write them also in this way. It's really unlikely, but you can definitely find them expressed in this way. But there is something else now that has to be discussed. If I want to write, look, a note that is, for example, a minim in a 6/8, it's really unlikely that you find in strictly classical music. Why? Because this one is exceeding the value of one count. When I say one count, now I am talking about the 6/8 played fast, and you should definitely watch the tutorial where I explain the difference in between the 6/8 slow, where we really consider it like made of 6 counts, and the 6/8 that is fast, where we consider it like made of 2 counts, and each count is worth 1 dotted crotchet, 1 dotted quarter note. I was saying, in this case, it's really unlikely that you find a 6/8 classical, in classical music written in this way, because it's exceeding the value of the count. It's definitely preferred, and then completed by a crotchet, for example. It's definitely preferred, maybe, I would definitely suggest you to write in this way, like F, dotted crotchet, dotted quarter note, tied now to a quaver, and completed by a crotchet. In this way, it's very easy to be understood. This is the first count, and this is the second count. It's due to practical reasons. You see, for example, this is something quite common in a 3/4. This one in a 3/4 would definitely work. Indeed, this, I would say, is definitely okay. You can maybe copy all of them, all these notes, but then I can also show you how you would write them in a 3/4. And indeed, I will definitely talk in a specific lesson. We'll talk about the difference, huge difference that there is in between the 6/8 and the 3/4. Why? Because anyways, in a 3/4 and in a 6/8 you have exactly the same identical quantity. Let's try to understand why. Now this one I was saying in a 3/4 would be more than welcome. I write underneath yes, definitely. Here no. Not because you can't, yeah? Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't suggest you, okay? Here definitely is the way you write it in a 3/4. I was saying in a 3/4, this bar, for example, would be written in this way, using indeed different way to make it easy, to help you. Then there are cases, obviously, where you get it written in that way also in a 3/4. You might get it in this way, if the composer wants to help you. I keep saying, you can find it, but it's definitely easier for you because you do 1 and 2 and 3 and then you see it. Here you have to be really careful. Anyways, in a 3/4 it would be 1 and 2 and 3 and in a 6/8 it would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You see the difference? They are exactly the same notes, the same values, but expressed in 6/8, they have a specific meaning because the accent is a different way of emphasizing the note. In the 6/8 you emphasize the notes in a different way. In a 3/4 you have 3 counts. In a 6/8 you have 2 counts. Obviously this is simply the same identical thing, yeah? And here we are. So we have explained now a little bit also of the difference between the 6/8 and the 3/4, but it's not the main topic of the lesson. Before moving to the slur, the last example that I want to give you is this one, where you can have, for example, now let's use a different note, finally. If you want to have one note covering the whole 6/8 bar, it's really unlikely that you find it written in this way. I wouldn't really suggest you to write in this way in a 6/8. I would write no on top. But I would definitely suggest you to write in this way. So, 1, because you see, let's say is covering, having the tie in between them, using minim and crotchet is anyways, let's say, covering the whole bar. I would suggest you to write anyways in a way that you can see that you have the 2 counts expressed in dotted crotchet, dotted quarter note, and dotted quarter note, dotted crotchet, twice, instead of this way. It's also about now understanding which way you have to write something, yeah? Same thing, anyways, but that anyways in In a 3/4, this one is more than welcome. This is the way you would write in a 3/4 if you won't use the tie, or even better, you can write it in using the dot. So I'm anyways extending a little bit the explanation of the difference in between the ties and the dot. Is it clear what I mean? Here we are. Now let's finally talk about the slur. The slur is very important from a practical point of view. Which one is the difference in between the tie and the slur? They look identical. Let me use again a very basic example, in a 4/4 for example. If I want to write two notes slurred, I can add it either above or below. But what does the slur do? First of all, you have to notice that it is connecting two different notes, where the tie connects identical notes. Notes on the same identical, in the same identical space, or on the same identical line. So let's say same identical pitch. Here, not at all, different notes. So here, the value has to be added. Here, no, is asking you the slur of doing something specific. To connect the notes, to never split them. Two notes without the slur, the same identical ones, could be even played and wouldn't be wrong. I'm writing exactly the same identical ones, yeah? So same identical notes, here with the slur, here without. Which one is the difference? The difference is that here you don't have to split these notes, there is no silence, no gap in between them. Here you could even play them bouncing, applying the portato principle that I've explained in some of the other lessons, not theory lessons, but the practical lessons when talking about the pieces, especially talking about Mozart, in one of the grade 1 pieces, or in some of the Thompson Part 3 pieces. So the first bar would be 1, 2, ta-da. The second bar could be even ta-ta-ta-ta. You see that there is a little bit of bouncing that is not wrong in the second. In the first, this is the right way. Ta-da, ta-da. It's only one action, and you could think in this way. Vertical action going down to play the first. The second one needs to be played almost having the first one still down, and you release the first one simply straight after you have played the second. You could pronounce and think two words. This is what I suggest when I teach the pieces from Thompson Part 3, or even the ABRSM pieces. Think of drop, roll, where the dropping needs an action from top to bottom. So vertical action going down. This rolling up has to be a fusion. Obviously, when playing the thumb, we should say it's to be a fusion of rolling up and rolling towards the left side. And the second one with an action not only rolling up but also towards the left. In general, it's about dropping and rolling. The rolling has to be a fusion of rolling up and inwards, but this is possible when you play, for example, indeed the second couple, where you do drop and roll, and the rolling is a fusion of rolling up and inwards, creating a kind of curved line. And this is indeed what you do when you play the slurs. Drop, roll, connecting very well the two slurred notes. When you play the other ones, no need at all. You could even play them bouncing, leaving a little bit of space in between them. In general, indeed, we say that you should hold down in the very strict theory, old theory, we say you hold the note down for 3/4 of the value, and you let the sound go for 1/4 of the value. In this way, like this is in general the way. And is not wrong, because there is no requirement of playing them smoothly. The You should play them legato smoothly if there is a big phrase mark, but we will talk about it in the near future. So this is the difference in between the slur and the tie. The slur is connecting different notes, the tie identical ones. And I hope that is clear enough what I have explained. It's an introduction to the slurs and clarification of the power of the dot and the tie and the difference in between them in different time signatures. If there is any question, feel free to comment to let me know if you're enjoying the theory lessons. If it's the first time you're landing on my channel thanks to this video, don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next one. Thanks.